Welcome to Poke-Cola World, a land of infinite choice. Cola as far as the eyes can see. You can't compete with our convenience. Fictional drinks are very strange to me. A real-life brand serves a function, usually a way to explicitly sell you items you might not need in order to get a slice of the brand's assumed lifestyle, as opposed to the sugary drink. It's a way of messing with your judgment to assume things about a product through manipulation, or exploiting poor assumptions such as natural things just inherently being better for you, regardless of whether they actually are. A fictional brand serves many different purposes, a common reason being not having to pay for a license to use a real-world brand. It can, depending on context, serve a narrative function, like the Nuka-Cola drink, serving as a kind of parody or send-up of the culture that creates such a drink. By using the iconography and stylization associated with real adverts, though, it often gets into your head just as much, resulting in people making real-world products based upon their satire products, as they sell you a little piece of the game's universe, in order to sell us a chunk of the lifestyle, the brand that is the game, or the company in some cases. Other fictional brands, though, serve no real-world purpose, but frustratingly burn themselves into our mind as well. Hassy, the fictional drink from Blue Stinger, is the only thing I remember from that game, outside of just how bad it was. When I grabbed some footage, I was reminded of why. The in-game adverts are everywhere. It's a health recovery item, meaning you need to keep track of how many you have and when to use them. And by doing so, it becomes an inescapable part of the game's experience. And so, the branding gets repeated to you over and over, just like a real-world brand. And suddenly you can't forget this terrible game you haven't played in years and you don't care about, just because of a fictional drink. I shouldn't remember a brand from a game as bad as Blue Stinger. Prior to getting footage for it, I hadn't played that game in almost a decade. But I haven't forgot that stupid brand. It takes advantage of our lax attention and makes us think about it, even when we have no reason to, which is much worse than a real-world product placement. On some level, we know it's an advert, but it's harder to focus on knowing that it's an advert, meaning it gets past our obvious resistance to it, as a number of hours starts to clock in on a game, and we repeatedly see the same brands over and over. You are not immune to propaganda. And in many ways, that's how brands work. It tells us stories about a product as opposed to the reality of it. If you look on YouTube now, there are tons of old advert compilations, which get huge views from people who feel nostalgic for a different part of their life. And due to the way brands force their way into our lives, it's hard to forget those adverts that happen to coincide with these nicer times. Those adverts were meant to sell you a product by pretending they were selling you an idea to begin with. When that time's gone, it could be easy to remember the thing that was repeated to us most often. And for that reason, we know it's working, and much of the world acts like a brand too. I don't like Blue Stinger, but I can't forget its fictional drink, and by extension the game. It's tricked me into not forgetting it, and like all brands, I can only consume the product and not the ideas it represents. It's best summed up in the game by one of the characters putting on a karate t-shirt and suddenly being good at karate. A perfect metaphor for how these brands mess with us and want us to feel. You can't put on a shirt and be good at karate. You can't join a counterculture strictly by drinking a drink. If they can redirect these feelings, though, it can eventually be hard to tell the truth from the story, in what can only be described as big capitalism vibes. If you like our video, be sure to like, subscribe.